What's up, Vicky? How are you?
I'm good. I've been better. I'm not feeling too well, which is why I'm in bed. I don't know if it's a change of season, but like, yeah, I'm not. I've been better. Anybody else, I would have canceled, but I was like, Leona no cost me, so I'm
Thank
like,
you. Thank
Well, we
you.
appreciate you joining, Vicky. It's been a day of technical difficulties. Let me tell you, the Instagram gods are against us today, but we made it happen. So I do appreciate you joining. So for those of you who don't know, let's first do quick introductions around the room, and then I want to introduce Vicky. So Fatima, do you want to do a quick introduction, and then we can do the Vicky introduction? I already introduced myself.
Okay, sure. I'm Fatima Sesay. I am Sierra Leonean, of course, based in New York, New Jersey, and I am the founder of Inside the Diaspora, where we focus on bridging the gap between Africa and the diaspora by changing the narrative, telling our stories, because only we can authentically tell our stories ourselves. Thank
There
you for
it is.
having me.
Awesome. And of course, as you can see in the fourth panel, we have Vicky Remoe, media mogul, public relations, digital and communication strategist. She is the BNB Cash App Ambassador for Sierra Leone currently. She also has the Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Conference that will be happening in 3 different locations this year: London, Salon, and the DMV. And also, she has her company, VRNC Marketing. So she has a BA in political science from Harvard College. She also got her MS in broadcast journalism from School of Columbia University here in New York. She was considered, or actually on the list of 100 most influential young Africans. She's been at Wharton Business School, Georgetown Business School, Harvard Business School, New York Africa Forum in Gabon. She's also a girl ambassador for Save the Children Sierra Leone. I'm sure the list goes on and on. There are
On and
many
on.
accomplishments, just to say a few. So Vicky, I'm glad you were able to join. I appreciate you coming on, especially feeling under the weather. We like to highlight Sierra Leoneans killing it in the diaspora and on the continent as well. And I think who better to kick this series off than you yourself. So the first thing we like to always ask is, what do you do as it pertains to Sierra Leone in your field, right? We've talked about you being a public relations and digital media and communication strategist, all the other things that you do with different brands. But can you talk about what your brand does as it pertains to Sierra Leone?
so on a personal level, my work in Sierra Leone is to bring people together and to uplift them, whether it's online or offline. I feel like that's the easiest way, really the simplest way, because everything else that I do eventually like falls under that umbrella. In 2018, I started using the tagline "Make Sierra Leone Famous" for all the right reasons, and I think that it captures the mission, like my personal mission, right? If I'm showing up in digital spaces, if I'm showing up in local spaces, if I'm online, if I'm offline, if it's pertaining to Sierra Leone, the objective is that the work, the output, the gathering, everything should make Sierra Leone famous for the right reasons. And that's not necessarily an external thing only, as in like trying to project an external narrative that's positive for Sierra Leone. But in the 2 decades that I've been in this space, I know that people who are from Sierra Leone, who live in Sierra Leone, who live outside of Sierra Leone, also need to have Sierra Leone made famous to them for the right reasons. And so that has translated into blogs, storytelling, documentary, social media content, conference, children's books, whatever really truly is something that uplifts Sierra Leone, even if it's not necessarily my work, it's amplifying other people's work. You'll find me there.
Absolutely, and I can see that through everything that you do. It makes sense that that's your central mission and your purpose, because there's like a through line through all of the different things that you've mentioned and the conference too, right? I mean, it's very clear that that is your personal mission and your goal. Fatima, do we still have you, or have we lost your audio? Are you still there? Okay, until we get her back, I'll run through some of these other questions that we had for you. You know, there was a time, and I don't know if you still are the Girl Ambassador for Save the Children Sierra Leone. Just because that's something that's rooted in philanthropic efforts, and you know, that really speaks to helping Sierra Leone and that mission. Can you speak to what that was, and what is the Girl Ambassador to Save the Children of Sierra Leone?
Oh, I mean, that's a while ago. I think you're reading maybe my 2020 or 2021 bio. So Save the Children, I mean, a lot of people know Save the Children, it's a nonprofit. And at the time
Yep.
they were doing a program that was to help teen moms and who had fallen out of school to get back into
Sure.
school. So they had like I think it was like a rapid education program where you go to like this Save the Children program. If you had been out of school for several years, it helped to kind of like catch up really quickly, and then based on
Sure.
your performance that would then help you get back into like formal schooling. And so in the year that we worked together was really to amplify that program, the girls that it touched, their families and the community, because it was really successful. But as you know, with a lot of like NGO development work, is that funding is usually on a 3 to 5 year cycle, and if donors don't pick up a project again, they move on to something else. So programs or projects tend to get defunded. And that was the case with this. Like that particular program, I think it ran for 3 to 5 years and it didn't get picked up again. But my work in the girls and women's space was happening before that and happens still. I work for an organization called Schools for Salone, and one of the programs that I'm a consultant. When I say I work for, I'm a consultant. One of the programs that we actually run is it's called Uman Talk, which is a sexual and reproductive health program where you have women in Sierra Leone who are making reusable pads in Freetown, and then they're also going to communities for schools where Schools for Salone has built. And Schools for Salone is an American NGO based in Seattle that was founded by some former Peace Corps volunteers like over 2 decades ago. And so the women make the pads, the reusable pads in Sierra Leone, and then they take it to these schools and they give it to girls in communities that ordinarily can't afford pads. But they don't just give away the pads, they also make sure that they hold these sexual and reproductive health training programs where you have the girls, their moms, their aunties, and their dads, and boys too, actually, all basically learning about how adolescence and how girls' bodies change over time. And that really helps to empower girls and teens, in that the more they know about themselves, the more autonomy they have to basically oftentimes delay sex and sexual intercourse so that they don't get pregnant, and then they can like complete more years of schooling. So my work in that space it's a constant thing. So it was beyond that engagement. It's something that I work on like year round.
That's fair, and that makes a lot of sense, and super important. And there's a lot of challenges with infant mortality, et cetera, right? So I think any education being done in that space, I think, is super important, and especially with folks who where income doesn't allow to necessarily purchase certain items on a monthly basis. Having reusable pads, I think, is really important. Not a topic that I'm all too familiar with, but I understand enough to know that. So moving on to the specifics of the SLDIC, because I think this is a really, really interesting topic. A lot of people talk about investing in Sierra Leone. There's a lot of conversations about how much the private sector needs to be more involved in Sierra Leone, right? So many people talk about government initiatives, and whether it's a lack thereof or things of that nature. And I've always been a proponent of there needs to be private sector partnerships and business to really help a country advance, right? Sometimes there are governmental organizations and initiatives that assist in that process. But I do think entrepreneurs, especially where we are as a state of a continent, and specifically our country, are. So I'd love to just start from the beginning, right? The Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Conference. What made you even start the conference in the first place?
It came out of a conversation with, I have a one of my clients turned friends. His name is Dr. Fuad Sharif, and he's a Sierra Leone American doctor who works for the VA hospitals here. And years ago, we met because he was opening a pharmacy in Sierra Leone. So he had hired my company
Oh,
to help with
bad.
marketing of his pharmacy and like the launch and the rollouts. But even after that, we kind of like remained friends. And back in 2022, I think it was, he wanted to do a webinar for some, because he had gone back to Sierra Leone and he had opened this business and the business was turning five. All his friends kind of know him as like, oh, Dr. Fuad is running a business in Sierra Leone. Like, he doesn't live in
Right.
Sierra Leone. He lives in the DMV. Like, how is he doing this? So he gets a lot of questions all the time. And so he was like, okay, for all like his friends, whatever, he was like, he'll host a webinar. And so he put together a webinar with himself and some other friends who are also investing in Sierra Leone, but we're still living in the diaspora. And he asked me if I could host the webinar. And I was like, sure. So I got on, and I was surprised to find that like all 72 people who were on this webinar stayed from the beginning to the end. And it was like a 3-hour webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, like people had all these questions about like everything from business registration to land ownership, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember when him and I, Dr. Fuad and I did the debrief, it was like, I was just like, yeah, I was shocked at how little information certain people had, because, these are people who I feel like should know these things about Sierra Leone, but they just really didn't. And I was like, somebody should be doing something that's really targeted at the diaspora, making sure they understand how to do business in Sierra Leone and also how to invest in Sierra. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we just kind of like left it at that. Somebody should.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and most of what I end up doing really starts at somebody should,
Yep.
or why does this thing not exist? I would like to see this. I would like to see that. And then when I don't see it, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm the somebody. And that's really how it started. It was like a year passed and nobody had, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm somebody. And so that's really how it started. It started just from, I've been doing business in Sierra Leone. Formally, I registered my company in 2016, so this is like our 10th year.
Okay.
And before that, also, I lived in Sierra Leone for 4 years after undergrad. And so and also my work in the media space means that I am aware of a lot of things. Like, I just know a lot. Um, I see a lot and I know a lot, and I can always kind of like point people in the right direction. And so to me, I was like, okay, I am actually a Sierra Leone diaspora, investor. Like, I don't live in Sierra Leone. I'm running my business in Sierra Leone. Even just starting between me and Dr. Fuad, there's a lot of like information and expertise that we could share and insights. And
Sure.
so that's really where it started. It was just like, I felt like there was a gap, and something needed to happen. Yes, the government of Sierra Leone does, with donor partners, does an annual, if not at least once a year, once every 2 years, there's always an investment conference. It's always in London.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's the way that it's done, it's to focus on FDI, so foreign direct investment. And
Mm-hmm.
so what ends up happening, so when if you, I mean, for most people who understand what's going on in the continent, there are different types of investors. Like, foreign direct investors could be like anyone from like a multilateral or like a international organization, international business trying to go to Sierra Leone, or something owned by person X, like some Russian person who has a lot of wealth and wants to go into mining in Sierra Leone. That's a foreign direct investor. Usually they are large scale, meaning they're multi-million dollar investments, right? And oftentimes in Sierra Leone, they're in agriculture and primarily in mining, and then next in agriculture and maybe telecommunications, banking, etc. But the diaspora investor is a completely different type of investor. So if you were to like do a profile, we look different, right? We are most of us will go home and set up SMEs, right? So Dr. Fuad started up with one pharmacy. He now has three, two of which are public-private partnerships within the public healthcare service delivery system and the government, with the government of Sierra Leone. So he's running the hospitals at Bo Government Hospital and in, I believe it was Kenema Government Hospital as well, in addition to his own.
Wow.
So most of us fall, I'm running a marketing agency, right? Between us, like
Sure.
some people, I employ between Ghana and Sierra Leone, I have 12 people on staff, right? FDI will probably hire 100, 500 people, right? But because the diaspora investor is completely different, I felt like the government's annual conferences that it does is leaves out diaspora investors. So even though diaspora people attend, the framework that I don't want to say the framework, but the way that the government approaches the conversation, because it's tailored for FDIs, there are just a lot
Hmm.
of gaps where diaspora needs and questions aren't answered, right? That's where
Sure.
we don't have millions of dollars that we do have very like wealthy individuals, but most people who are going to
Yeah.
invest in Sierra Leone, they're not just going to pull like a couple $1 million out the bat, right? You want to
Yeah.
go in, you want to get your feet wet, you want to do something small, you want to kind of see the risk, you want to mitigate for the risk before you go in all out. And so for me, it's that like, I do think it's great that the government continues to do this and continues to attract foreign direct investment, but I feel like that because the diaspora is completely different as an investor, and also within the diaspora there's a lot of diversity, that it's very important that we prioritize diaspora investment. And that conversation is happening now because of the way that the global economy has been disrupted thanks to our uncle Trump, and just the Western countries in general pulling back. Even before Trump came in, the UK had already pulled back a lot of their the funding under DFID, which is their equivalent of USA aid. They redirected a huge chunk of their foreign aid money to military spending, and that's a trend that's happened across most major donors. And so this absence of financing, development financing, means that African governments, Sierra Leone even, is now reconsidering, the resource, the untapped resource that is the diaspora investor.
Absolutely, that makes sense. I mean, I think you're filling the gap. Those are like institutional investors that go to those, large institutional investors, as you mentioned, multi-million-dollar investors, people who spend significant amounts. And so this kind of speaks to everyone else, because that's like 1% of 1%, right? That group who goes to those kinds of conferences and what they're looking at. Okay, so a couple more questions about the conference, because I think this was really important and really interesting. I think when I first came back to the States, after being in Sierra Leone for a year, which you and I have talked about offline. When I first came back, the first year, I went to the Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Conference. And I think one of the things that I walked away from that is not just what you hear from the stage, is the people you meet in the audience.
Sure.
And I'm not too sure how much people could talk about how important that is to build the network, because those are the right people with the right kind of mindset, right? Those are the people who are looking to invest. So even if you don't have what it takes to invest just yet, going to a conference like this puts you in the room with people who do, or who are interested in it. And I think these kinds of conferences are really important for that reason. I did want to ask you specifically when each of those conferences are. I know I just said where they are, but when are those conferences so that people can first put it in the calendar and then think about when they're going?
Sure. So this is the fourth year of the conference, and the first 3 years we would just do it in Silver Spring, which is, my it's my landing pad. Like Silver Spring is the heart for me of the Sierra Leone diaspora community in the U.S. Right? Like Silver Spring is where it's our immigrant pipeline. Where people came off the boat, figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
So Silver Spring is that heartland, and in the DMV, which has the highest population of Sierra Leonean Americans and people of Sierra Leone origin, it just has made sense. But of course, the Sierra Leone diaspora, if you think of it, I mean, the latest data I saw on the diaspora, and this is so Sierra Leoneans who are born in Sierra Leone who are living abroad, not necessarily first generation and second generation Sierra Leoneans. So there are about 300 to 350,000 Sierra Leoneans who are born in Sierra Leone living overseas. Of that, 20 to 30% are in the US, another 20 to 25% are in the UK, the rest 30% are in West Africa, and the rest are in Europe, Australia, and then scattered all over the world, right? So that's data that's out there.
Sure.
And so for me, it's that like the demand has been there. So from the first year, people who live in the UK have been saying, oh, you really need to come to London with this. And I constantly, I would say, no, I can't bring something to you guys. We should do something in partnership and collaboration. But no one really kind of, again, I was like, someone should reach out, but somebody didn't. So I just decided I'd scale it this year. So this year we're doing London first for 2 days, June 19th and 20th. The first day is the government plenary session. So the conference, since I've been doing the conference for 3 years, I was able to connect with the Vice President of Sierra Leone, Dr. Mohamed Julder Jallo, who himself is like a diasporan anyways, because he used to live in France forever. And we've had lots of conversation just about what I'm doing, what he's interested in, and we found that there was like a lot of synergy. And so he was like, no, absolutely. For this year, we would like to partner with you. So that's why there's this whole government plenary session the first day, because he was like, no, he really wants to invite other agencies within government and champion diaspora investment. And so it's really been like an open two-way conversation with his office, where I'm sharing what I've learned over the last 3 years, and he's sharing what he thinks government can do or should be doing, and trying to then get people in government to be more, what's the word? I want to say more flexible and understanding of who we are as investors and what they
Sure.
should be doing for us. Because I think the problem is, even though everybody talks about the diaspora, there really isn't enough of an understanding of who we are as investors,
Mm-hmm.
um, and how to cater to our needs.
Yeah.
So part of what we've been doing is me and our planning committee talking about what we think they should do. And like, I've had some long calls with the VP, just like, yeah, this is what I think we should do. And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but maybe this thing should also happen. And so we've had a lot of like back and forth. And it's the highest level kind of conversation that I'm having with anybody in government on diaspora investment, somebody who really understands it. So we're doing London June 19th and 20th. The 19th will be a government plenary session, and the 20th would be focused on the, I would say, usual conference setup. This year, the goal of the conference, well, I should go back to last year. In 2024, one of the conversations that came out of that conference was from our keynotes, who Victor Williams, who is a banking expert, Pan-African banking expert. And one of the things he championed, and he asked us, put a call out, is that we don't collaborate enough, right? Like that as Sierra Leoneans, we don't do enough together. And if we're
Absolutely.
really, he basically made a call and invited us that he would like to see that we should start a Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Fund. And it's something that we've been talking about, meaning like other people who come to the conference. This is an ongoing conversation, right? So for 2026, sorry, the goal throughout this year is for us to develop structured investment vehicles like a Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Fund, and to have something capitalized by early next year. So you can think of it as like a roadshow this whole year to talk to different facets of the diaspora community in London. We're coming back to Silver Spring in August 21st. And then we're also going to host a conference in Sierra Leone in December 29th. And really, the conversations are going to be very, very similar in that the goal is we want the Sierra Leonean diaspora to be, we want them to increase their appetite for risk. We want them to also understand that we will never have the perfect conditions that people think are required for investment, because let's
Right.
just be real, nowhere does, but we can
Mm-hmm.
mitigate for them. And helping them to also understand, because we have a huge trust deficit, and that trust deficit is the reason
Mm-hmm.
why it's very different for people, very difficult for people to collaborate. But
Yes.
I always say that the gifts that I have is I feel like I'm the country's trust broker. And I would die on that hill. That when it comes to bringing people together who may not ordinarily be in a room together, I am that person. People who may not ordinarily work together, I can make people work together who don't necessarily know each other, don't necessarily trust each other, but because they all trust me,
Yeah.
then it brokers a trust. And then very quickly also people find that like we're more alike than we are different, and that they also have the same values, and that there are, I think one of the biggest misconception is that like if you have values, if you have integrity, that as a Sierra Leonean you're the only one in the room, and it really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I have an infinite I know so many fantastic people, and so we're running a survey right now about the fund, just trying to get people who are in the diaspora to take the survey so that we understand where they're at with regards to investing in general, and then also
Mm-hmm.
their interest in investing in Sierra Leone, which is we'll be running the survey throughout the year because of course this is data that we need.
Mm-hmm.
And when we ask people, why haven't they invested in Sierra Leone, or why haven't they invested as much, the number one thing that everybody chooses is trust. When we ask them what would make them invest, the number one thing is they want to see who is managing the fund. So
Exactly.
it's like everybody thinks that it's gonna be like they're gonna talk about government. No, people are like, no, 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 no. I want to see. Make us see what they manage this fund before I give any money.
Exactly.
I want to see what I name it. And that goes back to the trust deficit. It's just like people are like, no, these people, I need to know who is there. So, and the good thing is we do not have a deficit of like trusted experts in finance or investment, et cetera, et cetera. We get in Boku. It's just that people are siloed and they get so caught up on their own lives, et cetera, et cetera. And because of the way things have been with Sierra Leone for so long, people just put Sierra Leone on the back burner. You know what I mean? And they just
Yeah.
like doing their life and like being excellent in their own field and thriving. And I'm usually that person who will come, ever so often and be like, okay, I know you don't care about us, but I need you right now. And the great thing is that when I do go calling, people from all walks of life usually tap in. And so like I'm really excited about this year in general, because I do know that for a fact that by this time next year we won't be talking just about the conference, we'll be talking about the fund, which is, where we need to go. And also the other thing to note, because I feel like what's happening already is people feel like what I'm talking about is like there should be one fund. No. I think that we need to champion a variety of structured investment vehicles, because again the diaspora is dynamic, right?
Right.
Somebody, just because they hear my name involved, they may not want to invest in my fund, right? But they might invest in one that says the Kono People's Development Fund. Do you understand what I mean? But
Hmm.
in
Sure.
order for us to get to all of these like different types of funds, or like angel investment groups, networks, et cetera, or diaspora bond, which is something else completely with the government, is that we have to get people to first understand that if we don't have the structured investment vehicles, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to really make the kind of impact we want to make as diaspora investors. Now, everybody can go it on their own, and people have been doing it, right? People have their businesses, they're
Sure.
doing investing, et cetera, but the risk is there. But then the other thing that I think makes these structured investment vehicles really important is about being a true stakeholder in national development. Right now, as a diaspora, because we scatter, we don't get resources pooled any side. Government
Right.
consistently ignores us. They only come to us when they're raising money for elections, and they want to
Elections.
fund their campaigns, or if they want photo ops, right? But they don't really we don't really have the power to say, hey, don't do this and don't do that and blah blah blah. We don't broker anything, right? But if we have a fund that's like capitalized with 2 million, 3 million, $10 million, they can't ignore us because now we have money,
Right.
right? We have money, and one decision from like an entity and a diaspora entity could make a difference in an actual project, right? The government wants to fund, or a priority
Mm-hmm.
area, even if it's not a specific government project, but government has it's priority areas for national development, and they would need us, you know what I mean? Like, need to come talk to us. Right now, they don't need us for nothing. They don't need us for nothing.
Yeah,
And so I'm just
that
like,
makes
yeah,
yeah.
we need to come with the money so that we can be at the table.
Absolutely, and I love the fact that you're working on a fund, and that came back again. I heard a through line throughout, which is the someone should, and you just decided to be the someone.
That's
And I
just
think
it.
when it
That's
comes,
literally it. That's literally it. If you see me on anything, it's literally, it's not because
yeah,
I wanted to do it for real, for real. Like, that wasn't my first. My first thing isn't let me go do it. My first thing is like, no, somebody should really do this, and just and people just don't, you know. And but I
sure.
understand why people don't, because a lot of people are they have, I would say, they have uh either salon fatigue, guys, compassion fatigue, empathy fatigue,
Mhm.
because, you know, coming from a post-war developing country comes with its own, I would say, ongoing psychological trauma, whether you live through
Absolutely.
it or not. There's
Yeah.
just like, you know, being Sierra Leonean, like, we be tired for good reason. The spirit be tired, and so, you know, I understand that. So um I try to, that's why my work is usually in the optimistic kind of field, and my storytelling, my journalism, all of it usually is about something optimistic, because I know that the community needs uplifting, right? I know that the existing trauma is there. I know that the pain is there. And so it's like, you got to do a little bit of healing from time to time. You know, you get for come, you have to say, hey, Osho, eh, Oshia, okay, now for Bia, listen to people, because people are hurt. There's a lot that's been going on, that's gone on with people from their own families, their own communities, trust that have been broken. People have tried, they've been burnt. And so I don't disregard that and say, oh, you just don't want to. No, 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 no. I just realize that everybody's in a different place with the journey. And eventually, if we continue to do the right things, they'll come back. They'll come because it's home. Like, you know, like, it's like, I like Dangote. I like Dangote. They'll come back. They'll come back. But we, those of us who are doing this work, have to understand that, like, we then have a responsibility to leave the door open and to create the spaces so that people can come back wherever they feel like they're ready.
Somebody said, with this amount of information, are you, they're trying to say, are you sure I still need to attend the conference? Yes, you do.
Well, well, I mean, I'm not telling, you know, so thank you. That's a great compliment. So at the conference, like, I'm not an investment expert. I mean, I am a journalist. So I can always sometimes say one of the problems is that, you know, when you're a journalist by nature, my job is to kind of become a mini expert on things, because I have to keep providing the context, right? As to
Right.
help people understand. And so I can, whatever I'm
Sure.
working on, I can very quickly sound like it's my thing, but it's not my thing. This is stuff that I've had to learn because now I'm in this space and I have to pass on information. So I'm no investment expert. So the people who are going to be speaking at the conference, like, for example, we have one panel which is about capitalizing it's the Sierra Leone Diaspora Investment Fund. So that's going to be people who actually know how, who've capitalized funds before. I don't have that experience. And then we also have another panel about structuring like investment vehicles. So we'll talk more generally about different types of investment vehicles. And there's another panel to talk about one specific type of structured investment vehicle. And then the other thing about the London conference that I'm very, very excited about is, for the first time, we're actually doing like a pitch competition. So we're gonna have a pitch competition, which we're calling the King Jimmy Landing.
Jimmy.
And if you know what King Jimmy is, King Jimmy historically was the marketplace that both slaves left from and returned to. So if you go to King Jimmy, you still see the steps where slaves left on slave ships, but also
Right.
it's a place of return. And it's not like this commerce area where people sell and do business, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a trading space. And so that's why we're calling the pitch from the trading space, just to like kind of honor that space in Sierra Leone. But this is an opportunity for people who are both in like the startup phase and the idea phase to pitch
Mm,
their businesses, their tech enabled business. So you have to have like a business that has some kind of tech. It doesn't have to be like an app or anything, but there should be tech should be a key component in how you deliver products or services to the market, right?
Okay.
And so we're giving up to eight different companies or people with ideas to pitch, and they can win up to $5,000 in cash at the conference towards their ventures. And then there'll be some other small awards, but that's the big prize. And the reason why we're doing this is because we also want this conference to be a showcase of Sierra Leone ingenuity that, like, yeah, within our community, we do have a lot of talent. We do have a lot of people with great ideas. And the
Hmm.
goal is that, those people pitch, there'll be investors in the room. So it's like a great opportunity also for people to pay more attention to Sierra Leone. So that's something that's happening at this conference. And I just like, the only problem with that, I just feel like as soon as that conference is over and we're doing the US conference, if I don't announce another King Jimmy land, it's going to be like,
I mean, I
so
was
you
gonna
go give
ask.
$5,000 now London, give. So it's like
I was
already,
going to ask.
listen. So, I already they feel like I already feel like there's a friend one of so we have a so the conference is not just me. So every year I put together a planning committee. And this year is no different. We have a planning committee, and one of the planning committee members, CD Sako, who's into private equity and investing and overall in like the African space. He's the one who basically really championed this. He was like, no, Vicky, if you're going to do this, we have to have this. And he's structured it and he's leading it. And I'm very, very excited and happy to have his stewardship and leadership. So I get what I say, this way don't begin, my brother. The people in America,
Hmm.
they are waiting. And then of course when we go to Sierra Leone in December, so in December what we wanted to do was to make it more like of a trade mission, right? For people who are coming. So not just come to the conference, but also have a day where we're taking people to diaspora owned businesses and returning owned businesses so they can see in real
Mm.
time people who look like them, who have shared experiences operating businesses in Sierra Leone in the kind of conditions they think are impossible, but still doing it, right? So
That's
that's what
amazing.
we're doing in December in Sierra Leone.
Awesome. Somebody said, how then forget tickets.
Oh, make SierraLeoneFamous.com. So right now what's up is the London conference is up. So you can go to London, you can go tickets for the London conference, sorry, is what's up. So tickets for August and December aren't out yet, but they will be once this is over. We're also information about the King Jimmy landing is also on the website, so you can also go there, make Sierra Leone famous. Anybody can come to the links in my bio on Instagram to also find the information. And yeah, I just feel like this is, we have elections in 2028. So I'm on like the clock. I'm like, we need to get this done because we reach election. Charlie, like forget about it. So I'm like,
Hmm.
nah, fam, I need to make sure we have the fund capitalized, all thing before election because as we reach 2027, so I just know say the whole country, now nothing else is going to happen. And I can't wait for another administration to come in with different policies or different interests or whatever, just like deprioritization.
Right.
Um, or just as a loss of time because every time we new governments come there's like this period of transition where no real decisions are made and that's really like difficult because then all thing they fasting
Yep.
Mhm.
and so we're like I'm just saying this to everybody in general, if you get anything for do not salon do a quick before election because we're about to get into that period where nothing is going to move.
Absolutely. You actually just segued us to our next topic.
Okay.
Salon independence.
Okay, what
Right?
about it?
Right. What about
What about it?
it?
What about it?
So, do you think Sierra Leone is truly independent?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like anybody who thinks that there's some white people somewhere pulling the strings, they not. Like whatever
Mm.
we have is of our own creation. I don't I always feel like it's like people like ask that question. I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, who's running the things? Like, I'm not one of those people who feels like I know there's a narrative that goes on about neocolonialism, you have the Brits to really no, like if you look at Rwanda.
Mm.
Rwanda is a great example of What happens when leadership decides that they will lead the way they want to lead and how they want to lead? Prime example I'll give you. In 2019, I went to Rwanda on the invitation of President Kagame,
Okay.
and it was me and a bunch of other like African and African American content creators. It was the 25th anniversary of the end of the Rwandese civil war
Okay.
and the Rwandese genocide. And after the trip, I wanted to write an article about my experience there. And I was looking for data. So every country that gets kind of funding from the World Bank, et cetera, most countries, the World Bank does like puts out like country reports, right? The World Bank will have them, IFC, IMF will have them. They do all this kind of stuff. Rwanda does its own reports and data and gives it to them, not the other way around.
Mhm.
They decide how they measure poverty. They decide like everything, like Rwanda.
That's amazing.
Not so you they can't Rwanda
Can't
can't tell
tell
me
me.
waiting at
Exactly.
this. Which then means that all the data that comes out of Rwanda, now the government saying they give you data for let you able to talk about things country. What does that mean? It means that, and this is just on I'm just trying to tell you about like power, right? It means that
Absolutely.
Rwanda gets to decide their growth. Rwanda gets to decide how many people came out of poverty last year. Rwanda now, I'm not saying their data got problems. I'm just saying that now Rwanda they tell you how well Rwanda is doing.
Yes.
Because ultimately when decisions are made on the higher level, right, in these tables, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, they get to tell you based on the numbers that they have, right? Now if you're the one giving them the numbers, now waiting you wallet and say nine and get for say not so then they can't explain to you. So then that means that in terms of performance you're going to see a positive trajectory for all everything is going down in
Everything.
Rwanda. Everything that donors need to look at to give Rwanda money is
Money, of course.
improving. Everything is improving. Now, whether it's improving in reality or not, it does not matter.
You
They
know, my
have
friend.
told you that it is improving, and that is it. Go and now that we have met your because you know they have all these like metrics and benchmarks, right? KPIs, and be
Yeah.
like, oh, you have to meet this by means before you. Me don't say you say I dey
Don't
improve.
need time.
Go and give me my money. Show me and let me tell you, Rwanda gets their money. Then Kagame goes to a meeting and they want to talk about human rights. He'll be like, do you have human rights in your country?
Mhm.
In fact, interviewer, where do you find the gall to even open your filthy mouth to ask me, His Excellency, about, I, please, let's talk about something serious. Like, so for me, just telling you that there are different levels. What you do with your independence or leadership is up to you. I don't think that there's anybody anywhere who has their fingers in. I think that what happens at the highest level is what we leadership wants to happen, right? And
Right.
whether you like it or not is on you. But just because we don't like the outcome doesn't mean that we get to point fingers and say, oh, like nobody tells us who to give mining contracts to. Parliament decides. But some people like to. There was a video I think of the first lady several years ago speaking. I don't know if it was at Harvard or somewhere. She was talking and she was like, "Oh, these people, they're not letting my husband rule how he wants, and these people have come in. They're telling us this. Nobody's telling us anything. Nobody. We are doing it to ourselves. Let nobody tell you that anybody did it. No, 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 no. We are doing it to ourselves. But certain
Mm.
narratives are just better, right? Certain narratives are better. Do we have donors who try to advise and set priority? Absolutely. Are they doing it at gunpoint? Absolutely not, right? You go to
Right.
meeting, you negotiate. Now, with whatever you give is what you give. So, oh yeah, we're very independent.
Got it. Absolutely. So on that same line, you've been very vocal, obviously, online You know, you call yourself troublemaker. By the way, if you guys saw the flyer, we did not choose that. She said
Yeah,
to
I
put
feel like
troublemaker, okay?
absolutely, absolutely. I feel like
I have to
everybody.
confirm with her.
No, I feel like everybody needs to. I mean, you have to make. I mean, when I say troublemaker, I mean good trouble. Like, I
Yeah,
feel
good
like
trouble. Exactly.
wherever people, it's what John Lewis said, right? It's like, yeah, I make good trouble,
Good
but
trouble,
in
yeah.
the eyes of somebody else, I'm just a troublemaker. It's okay. I will make trouble. Like, it is required because you need disruption. You need disruption for progress,
Go project,
right?
yeah.
You need disruption to
Absolutely.
also challenge the status quo. Without disruption, like without a me, like there's so many other things that don't happen. There's so many other people who don't have a space
Right.
without the kind of disruption that I brought to the media space in Sierra Leone. So it's not for me, but could be like now because they don't cost me, they don't tolerate me, I don't make trouble, I don't make trouble, I don't make trouble. The appetite for speech, the appetite for openness, like it opens up. Do you understand
Right.
what I mean? And so others can come, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So no, you have to, when you like something, right? Or when you love something, it's like you have your parents. They're always going to want the best for you, but sometimes it's not going to come like in some nicely packaged gift. They're going to tell it to you and hold you to account. And so, yeah, Sierra Leoneans, you have to make good trouble. It's really important.
Okay,
It's really
great.
important.
I know you have a hard stop, but I
I
have
do.
two more questions.
Okay.
One is still in the line of speech, freedom of
Hmm.
speech per se. Zainab Sharif,
Hmm.
you made a video recently, sharing your opinions.
Hmm.
So we just want to know, in line of freedom of speech, independence, etc. What can you tell our audience in terms of her current situation? Because she's been sentenced to what, 4
4 years and
years,
two
I believe.
months. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think Zainab's case is special, but it's also not unique to Sierra Leone. Um, I mean, people are talking about freedom of speech. I have never thought that we had freedom of speech in Sierra Leone.
Really?
No, I've never thought that. Like, there's nothing in Sierra Leone that suggests that. There's nothing in Sierra Leone. If you live in Sierra Leone, you've been to Sierra Leone, there are limitations to speech in Sierra Leone.
Hmm.
And I would say that's the case across most global South countries. And even right now in the United States, let's be very, very honest. Like this freedom of speech in itself, as a Sierra Leonean, I feel like you must know as a Sierra Leonean that we don't have freedom of speech.
Hmm.
Oh, it would be like Idi Amin said, you have freedom of speech, but freedom after speech is not guaranteed. And as somebody who's been in the media space for 2 decades, that's how I operate.
Hmm.
And I've been as political as possible. I've been in every single kind of situation that you can imagine. I've gotten death threats, et cetera, et cetera. I've talked about politics when APC was in opposition. I've talked about politics when SB were like, I've had it all, right? But there's nothing I've not been able to talk about in Sierra Leone because I've always understood that there are limitations to speech,
Mm.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say, do I think that the sentencing is harsh? Absolutely. Do I think it's heavy-handed? Absolutely. Do I think it's unnecessary? Absolutely. Because I don't think that Zainab is a threat to, because one of the charges is like incitement, it's like inciting violence,
Right.
right? I don't think say Zainab get the power or influence for make anybody go kill anybody in a salon, right? Like I don't think, like I don't think there's anybody in a salon where they fled for a life because Zainab said it and go kill people. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I truly don't believe that, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
So for me, I feel like the sentencing was harsh. Now, if you watch the video of what she said, right? She said that anybody who steals elections in Sierra Leone should be killed. Their children should be killed. Their mother should be killed. Their father should be killed. Their whole generation should be killed. We should treat them like we treated Fode Sanko. As a Sierra Leonean person, right? The reason, like, I can never, you can never, would you ever? That's why this conversation has been so hard, because when people have not known, a lot of people have not known what she said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say what she said, it's very difficult for everybody to be like, well, you know, it's freedom of speech. This is Sierra Leone, post-war Sierra Leone,
Right.
right? Where people have been killed for less. And if you
Right.
are saying that you're a political activist who is championing democracy, which
Mm-hmm.
parts of the democratic principles that you are championing call for the killing
Oh, family. Yeah.
of the
Mm-hmm.
families of people who, because the family not get nothing but the stiff election, oh,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the person picking not get nothing. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, if you truly love Sierra Leone, you know that you have to follow the Constitution of Sierra Leone. The Constitution of Sierra Leone does not say, let us kill people who cheat elections. No, you get for care and go to courts.
Not caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why this situation, listen, this is what I tell people. If this was like, I would have been 10 toes down. You understand what I'm saying? If this was about something that truly I felt, and just speaking for myself, truly that I felt like was about a cause that was worthy of our people and our nation, if this was about a cause. But I cannot, as a Sierra Leonean, as somebody who lived through the war, as somebody we've been talking about this trauma, I cannot be 10 toes down to support the free speech of somebody who's calling for killing anybody. Just the other day, the president made a joke about, well, AYV said, because they retracted, AYV said that the president was in bonds. He said something in, I don't know if it was in Mende or in Shabro,
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
something
In one of
along
his
the lines
languages.
of anybody who lives here in Bond who supports SLAPC. Allegedly, that's what AYV translated it as saying,
Translated. Yeah.
that allegedly that person, they would be dead by morning, or they should die by morning the next day, right? As soon as I saw it, I retweeted it and I asked, the president's office, like, is this what we're saying? You understand what I'm saying? Like, is this
Mm-hmm.
appropriate? And if it's not appropriate, this isn't what was said, I mean, anybody can go check. It's up there, right? Because as a Sierra Leonean, me not they take them kind of talk they are so
Lightly.
easy, not so
Yeah.
light teen. You understand what I mean? So this Zainab situation, it's very difficult to like. Either you they go big na go. How you they go big? That's okay. How you they go big?
Yeah.
So freedom of speech, yes, but I don't know, like, I can't. That's when I'm just like, then after the incident happened and the police put out a warrant for her arrest, she also went back online and she said, either the police don't know how to do their job, they're incompetent, or um they're lying,
Mm-hmm.
because she's the most accessible person in Sierra Leone. Her number's out there. If they need to contact her, they know how to find her. She's not going anywhere. She's there. She dies for this shit. She'll kill for this shit.
Right.
She doubled down. Let me tell you something about Sierra Leone. If police pull out warrants for me today, no say, I don't take me lawyer tomorrow, I don't go to police, I don't go turn myself in. I'm not going online to go taunt them. Do you understand what I mean? If I
Yeah.
want to be free, if I want my freedom. Because Nazi no day with Salom, we culture. People like you. I have lived more of my life outside of Sierra Leone than I've been in Sierra Leone. But you wake me on any given day, I'm not crazy. there are just certain things I would not do.
Yeah. 1 second. I think she's frozen.
Yeah. I mean, while we wait for her to come back, I think I will say one of the things that I think people who live in the West enjoy, specifically the United States, is even the United States Constitution doesn't speak about speech. It is a amendment to the Constitution. So the original Constitution was written, that was added later. Now, most people believe that because it was the first amendment to the Constitution, it's the most important. And that amendment is freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, right? But there are limits to that speech, as what Vicky was alluding to there. So, you know, when people take a Western lens and apply it to Sierra Leone or other countries on the continent, I think we have to remember that the fundamental base for living in the United States, and many European countries have some version of a speech law. You can't apply that to the continent. It's very different. And I think Vicky made a lot of great points there. And we appreciate, you know, her viewpoint on that story. I'm not going to weigh in on that one. That particular story is a very difficult one to weigh in on for all the reasons that she mentioned, but was able to give additional context for those who didn't know, and was able to give her thoughts on that. And so, as she said, Make Sierra Leone Famous is where you can find tickets to the conference. As she mentioned, the first conference is going to be in London. And so that one is the first one, and that's the one that you can get tickets for. So if you're in the UK, or if you happen to plan to travel there, you can go to Make Sierra Leone Famous, and you can sign up there. She said after that conference is done, the subsequent signups for the others will be coming out. Her page is at Vicky Remoe. You probably saw her name when she was live on the live stream earlier. But you'll see that in the description after this goes live. We'll make sure to we will make sure to
It's
add her.
actually back on.
Okay, so we'll add her back to the live stream. There we go.
So wrap up because I know
Yeah,
she got
to
to
wrap
leave
things
as
up.
well. Yeah.
So I think I just tried to accept her. We've been having some challenges with the
Right.
live stream. It has been giving us problems. This is a problemo.
Probably not a finish.
Let me see if I could try again. For some reason, it's giving me issues. And by the way, her page is VICKIEREMOE.
MOE. Yeah.
I'm just trying to add her back, but it is difficult. This thing don't work. I don't know if we're going to be able to add her back, unfortunately, but I'm glad she got a chance to speak her part. If we can, okay, there we go. We got her back.
She's on.
Yes, there we go.
Okay, we're back.
I'm sorry, you guys. My phone just decided somebody text me 90 phone. The phone. But yeah, I was just wrapping up on that. Just that, like, I do think that, like, what happened is the government, like, they obviously it felt like they want to punish her.
Sure.
And I didn't think that, like if you don't really feel like the person is a threat, like, is there any need really to, like, imprison them for 4 years? Do you understand what I mean? Um, and yes, in a just and fair world, you shouldn't be arrested for sharing your opinion, no matter how extreme. But Sierra Leone, like, you know what, like I said in my video, mind how you go, right? Like, at the end of the day, we all have to be very, we got to know where we're from, and, you know, the limitations of what that is. And I hope that she'll have clemency, but also, even during the court proceedings, there were opportunities for her to, like, plead or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And apparently she chose not to. That she was, you know, like, she feels like she's on the, you know, like, somebody, she feels like she's righteous, right? Like what, you know, that she feels like she's being punished, whatever. So it's not like she herself was, you know what I mean? Like, for say, oh, I'm not going to do this again, blah, blah, blah. Like, that hasn't happened. And I think that's her choice, right? Like if she doesn't want to, that's her choice, right? So, because some people have been saying, oh, maybe they'll pardon her, because every year for independence, so presidential pardons can happen at the new year, and also for independence.
Right.
And someone was like, oh, people have been saying, well, maybe she'll get a presidential pardon, but in order for you to get a pardon, you have to people have to be pleading on your behalf, and they have to be able to give guarantees that, like, oh, if this person is released, they won't do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, and I don't know if Zana's gonna come out. So, like, that's the thing. I was just like, who that gonna go big this big? Because then go able all Zainab be months with and come out, wait, it come out. Whose assurance you go able give for the mamina power? You might
Yeah,
not.
it's tricky.
So people might be afraid to, you understand what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because then when you come out, if you come and say the same thing or worse, the people who went to plead on your behalf,
They'll come for them too.
that them, they're going to say, now now you make we pull this
Now
off.
they.
So yeah, I mean, I just want to say, like, as Sierra Leoneans, be guided, be mindful. I don't think say governments go come for anybody, like, just because of any Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, there are ways to go about things. There's certain things, like, every country gets its own culture,
Right.
right?
Right.
And of waiting acceptable. Something and the way acceptable, way bad, and something in the way acceptable, way good. But as a citizen of a country, you need to kind of think about what's permissible here, right? Something as simple as how you did get in streets, guys. I went to Saudi recently, right? I didn't take no pom pom shorts to Saudi. I didn't take no tank tops to Saudi. Like I said, freedom of expression.
Let me get
I'm
you.
free. I'm free. I'm a Sierra Leonean. Just because of these people and their Islam, I will not.
Oh,
You understand what I mean? Why? Because Saudi, that's the culture there.
that's yeah.
That's the culture, right?
Mm.
I'm sure there are people who live in Saudi who don't want to dress like that all the time, but they live in Saudi, so they have to follow the culture. Does that make sense? And so, like, that's how I see Sierra Leone, that, like, when I'm in Sierra Leone, and online as a Sierra Leonean, we also have very, like, harsh cyber crime laws. And I remember when they were, like, working through them in Parliament, I was raising hell on Twitter, like, we don't want this to pass because it's going to be used in this and this and this and this way. And after it was passed, exactly how we've been to say, then go use them. So they use them. In 2023, Zainab was arrested again, for breaking this, for cyber bullying or cyber crime laws.
Yeah.
And that time she was granted bail. And so, like, I've been on what I thought, like, I've been on for make I don't day on the internet for this long, for later not ever call me for go explain anything any side. And people come to them like, oh, Vicky, for careful, da 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 da. And I'm always like, nobody not careful reach me. Nobody, you don't love my freedom more than I love my
More than
freedom.
yourself, exactly.
You don't love my freedom. The other thing about Sierra Leone is you have to know how much social capital you have.
Mm.
And your social capital is udana you mama, udana you papa. Now na party in a government, you get money. All of people don't think about social. I be thinking about social capital all the time.
Oh yeah.
Me, they arrest me now right now. The one Bombali Shebora from the paramount chief in Oz will come and prostrate on my behalf.
Yeah.
I'm so serious. You need to understand what if you have social capital,
Yeah.
right? For see what you able do. Because people look at what other people do and they say, well, if that person can say that, why can't I?
Exactly.
And no, within the current day politics, do you have enough? That person has more social capital that
Yeah.
allows them to be able to do that. But wait no more way in social capital lesson, see if they'll be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? With ABC kind of power, whatever, man, damn it. We will be what? dog? Who born dog? Behave yourself. No, do you understand what I'm saying? If you go online right now and there are people who are behaving so because they know see their mama and their papa they're connected.
Yeah.
So so don't act like Sierra Leone is not complicated.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, right? It's the same way here where if your name now is Trump, sometimes you can able go kill person as it's nothing or do you?
Yeah.
Because under this administration, you have that kind of social capital. It's the same thing in Sierra Leone. Sometimes if I tell
Rightfully
you go the
so.
guy, sometimes you go the guy, policeman stop you, slap him. Nothing not gonna do you. You have social capital. I don't know. I won't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's all I have to say about that. Like a lot of people, if you because this has been put through a political lens, it's very everybody's like seeing it as like SLPP is doing this and da 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 da. But if it was APC in power and the same situation happened with someone who was SLPP da da da, probably the same outcome. Probably the same outcome. It's not a just SLP. It's a Sierra Leonean issue. It's a Sierra Leonean issue, and so that's why I said it's injustice. That's alone. So like, I mean, under APC, then ban people then for jog together. Under APC, they said people can't be jogging together. You're a threat. Like jogging. Imagine though, you know how people jog to the beach?
Yes.
Under APC, Sierra Leone police said it is now illegal for people to jog together because the
Regular
crowd.
people.
I say anybody, you cannot be jogging to jog apart. So when I tell people who don't pay attention to what goes on the everyday, like they don't know their country. So past something make big news, then they're like, oh my god, I can't believe it. For those of us who like who see what's happening on a day-to-day basis, you're just like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is your homeland, this is your country, watch how you go, manage yourself.
Right.
It doesn't mean that anybody's all good or everybody all it's not as simple as like those people over there are very bad and evil and these people over here are good. It's really not that. But that's the simple, you understand what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
The very simple is like to say, oh, SLPP, that's so evil. No, it's not. No, it's just
Just the culture.
it's the system. Do we want the system to change? Absolutely. But until it changes, we have to mind how we go and like tread carefully because do you want to end up in jail? I don't.
Right. Right. Well, thank you, Vicky. I mean, this has been an enlightening discussion, wide range of topics. Appreciate you answering that last question. I know that one was but I think it was a great one because I don't know how informed the general population was.
No, I don't think people know what we said. Yeah. And
so
I've not, the other thing is, what you want big for posting, so for me, I'm like, I can't amplify the bad thing that was said because then it's like you're making it, because if I share it, now more people see it. Now, then it's like worse. So it's like, let's just act like this thing was never even said. And let's not focus on the past. Let's not focus on what's not happy. Don't be. Let's focus on the future. Hey, boy, I used to remember. Oh, why are you trying to think about things? What's happened has happened. Let's move forward.
Amen.
Right. Well, yes. So, so when we last lost you, I did mention to the folks where they can go to sign up for the SLDIC. Where can people find you and support everything that you're doing?
I mean, yeah, I feel like the good thing is my name is the same everywhere. It's just Vicky Remoe. So that's everywhere. You can Google it, it's everywhere. And then for the conference specifically, it's Make Sierra Leone Famous. And then my overall thing is just like, even if you're not checking for me, the one thing I say to people all the time is you have to be intentional about showing up for your people online and offline as well. So, if people are doing stuff like, check out the hashtags that people, check out the Sierra Leone hashtag, the Make Sierra Leone Famous hashtag, Sierra Leone's killing it, like whatever, like just show up for your people, right? Like so that constantly you are also seeing things that are happening. Also, like all pass una make, not always other people have to hold space for you to see what's going on, but that like you can see what's going on because you're also tuned into the community.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Look over the meet up. Joe, I'm not sure if you got into it, but her work with Drizzy, because
No,
I
we
know
didn't have time for that.
you didn't have time for that.
No,
Okay,
it's
but
good work.
just
It's good
comment.
work.
Yeah,
It's good work. I'm no longer working with Driz. I'm not doing entertainment at all anymore. Like I'm so
at all.
girl, I'm tired. I'm tired. You know, the problem with the entertainment industry is that over, at least for Sierra Leone, is that high input, low output. Like
Hmm.
it really is so capital intensive and resource intensive.
Time and
And then the returns just are not as favorable as other ventures for me. And so yeah, but I think Driz is part of, there's something special that's happened, I think, in the last 10 years with Sierra
Yeah,
Leonean music. And I hope that the trend continues because culture is so important. Culture is so important. And Sierra Leone culture cannot take wings unless it's on the wings of the diaspora. And that's why, I was working with Driz because I really understand that, like, it can't, it doesn't, it, the move, no matter how great something is, we can say if tick for don't inside forest, if nobody know they for listen, does
yeah,
it make a sound, right? No
mm,
yeah,
matter how phenomenal or great the music or the culture is in Sierra Leone, if we're not intentional about exporting it,
yeah.
um, the industry itself can only, because the money not day salon in
So
that way
much.
day.
Yeah,
It did it. I'm not saying it's not did it, but in entertainment, um, it's really difficult to scale, right? Once you reach, and how many artists get there? You get Famous, you get Driz, um, Star Zero, um, LAJ, Cow.
mm-hmm.
That's like 5 people, right? That can do a tour nationally, that can sell out, blah, blah, blah. That's five. 5 people does not an industry make. So we need to find other pipelines for the entertainment, for culture. And I think Driz is doing a great job. I think he's going to continue to do a great job. But I feel like
yeah.
the diaspora definitely needs to understand that it doesn't happen without them or without us.
Absolutely.
It doesn't
Yeah,
happen without
us.
us. Yeah, it doesn't happen
Right.
without us. Yeah, so go to the shows, buy tickets. Like, show, it's the same, basically the same way no more way to show up online. Like, you still got to do the same. I mean, offline, right? Like, we
Right.
need to
Right.
show up for our people because that everybody else that people look at in other communities and other African countries that are doing well now, their lowest hanging fruit was always their diaspora.
Right.
Like there
Yeah.
is no Davido globally, no Burner globally, no Wiz
Without, yeah,
globally without the Nigerian diaspora and the African
absolutely.
diaspora. Like it just doesn't exist, So we need to, put our people on. And yeah, even though I'm not working in entertainment anymore, like no, I continue to amplify. Like anything I see, I'm like, oh, okay. This is music, especially because it's such a, in terms of giving people access to home. I feel like music is the easiest
It's
way,
the
right, for you to
exactly.
connect.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully also Trump this in bandwidth and puts pawi, which now means that Sierra Leonean artists can come to the U.S.,
Right.
which limits earnings. Like all of that is.
Yeah.
Anyways, this way uncle, yeah, I don't try.
What are uncle?
Now
Right.
we on now we uncle, oh.
I know Sabia.
No, no, cool.
Ura.
Now we
But
uncle, oh. Now we uncle, yeah,
Check
babe.
that
Yeah.
out. That's
This is
all I have
hey,
for
you said
that.
you want begin. No, listen. This is the
I have
problem.
no
Now the same
comment.
talk while they talk. Una suppose
Uh-huh.
mind una words. I say now we uncle. Now I tell me uncle. Una left.
Now
When
you
they go
talk
come, when they go
out.
come
I just
collect
say
you
no,
now.
no,
No,
cool.
this is the thing. Mind how you go. This mind how you go, not just for Salono. It applies globally.
And
When they arrest you, something Trump. Do you love Trump? Yes, I do. That's my uncle. That's my uncle. You
okay.
know? I know, I'm so serious. For me, that's the world we live in, right? Like, I'm gonna play this game. You will never catch me slipping like Vicky Remoe. No. I went back in my Twitter, everything that's criticized Trump from 2020, 2016. I deleted everything. As soon as he entered government, I have gone and scrubbed every opposition. I trouble. I don't want trouble.
That's a
Even for
trick,
my
guys.
even for my analytics not to wait and call. If I see anything they criticize Trump, I do not click. I keep it to myself. I leave it alone. Because you will never FBI. I don't trust them. They are looking and spying. You guys think you are here activists, you will end up like our sister in Sierra Leone. You don't know. Behave yourself. Especially this authentic African. Every day they are there being very black, 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 black. Forgetting that he's
Take that one.
one generation out of the boat. Don't think they can't send you back. And you already know where they're sending you back to. Light's not even day. How will you survive? How will you survive?
I can't.
You go suffer. You go suffer, me brother. Behave yourself, okay?
I don't hear you. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. No, originally we wanted to bring you on to just give you your flowers during Women's Month, but obviously we didn't get to. But I can speak personally because I spoke about the other women personally as well. So I'll give you a story. I used to work as Sahara Reporters, right?
Yeah, I remember.
2 years back. And I know you know Shori because he mentioned you.
Who?
Shori, the founder of Sahara Reporters. Omoyole Shori, because he went to
Okay, yes,
Colombia
yes,
as
yes, yes,
well.
yes, yes,
I
yes,
think
yes,
you
yes, yes.
guys, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
there was a day, because they know I'm Sierra Leonean, like they know. They know. So there was a day that I think we were having a meeting or we were just talking in passing. And then he's like, I think you need to connect with this lady. And then I was like, who? And then he mentioned your name. I said, oh my gosh, I know her. Like, not know her, but like, I know of her. Like, she's so inspiring. So for me, you're always someone that I've looked up to. And I know it's not just me, the whole nation of women, young girls, you're someone that I can look at and say, yes, she's doing what I would love to do. So I can say, yes, you are one of the people who inspired me to say, I don't have to conform to just
Right.
the normal medical or lawyer, etc. Like, and naturally, this is what I like to do.
Yeah.
So to see you doing it and doing it so well, I was like, okay, like there's no reason why I couldn't do it as well. So I just want to give you your flowers. Thank you for, just being unapologetic about who you are and doing it like authentically.
Thank
I
you.
keep I keep messing with Joe with that word, but no,
But
thank
I
But
you.
mean,
when
it's the only, I feel like both, I mean, in general, but especially online, I feel like if you're not going to show up authentically, then you might as well not show up because
Mhm.
I mean, people always ask me, how did you build a following, blah, 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 blah. And I always say, it's authenticity. Like
Mhm.
I bring myself, right? And when you bring yourself, you understand that you can't be for everybody. And I am so happy that I'm not for everybody. Because if you're from everybody, it almost means like you not get
You're
depth.
not, yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like you not get value. You have to you show up authentically, and I think that you will find your tribe. People will gravitate towards you naturally, and they'll
Yeah.
stay with you because that thing that's your sauce is also them. It's really that people see themselves in you. That's
And
really what
you,
it is. It's
exactly.
that it's people follow you and connect with you because you are them, right? Even you're not the them of today, you're a version of themselves. Older women follow me and connect with me all the time because they're like, hey, you wabi young. Like, or I also get, I wish I was more like you.
Like you.
But because
Oh,
of this, and this, like we own them, then always we this way. So every time I
exactly.
see you, I'm like, anyways, I'm happy that a younger Sierra Leonean woman exists like this. And then they now say, anytime we got it, show me Pekin. I said, go watch Vicky. I did. So for me, it's like, yeah, no, authenticity it's been the key for me. Like it's really unlocked a lot of community and connections. And I feel like they ever run out of content
Exactly.
if you're authentic because you're just being yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So,
So thank you
Thank you,
so much
thank
for
you, thank
having
you.
me. And you guys know like I love each of you. So you know,
We
even though
love you
sometimes they
too.
can give some man the advice, they're not they listen. I know they call name, no names will be called. But then they go and learn and find out for themselves, you know, and it's still love. It's still
Hey,
love.
sometimes you have to learn from your own
That's true.
mistakes,
That's
Vicky.
true. That's true. That's true. Because you
No,
said
but
that for
honestly,
that give testimony. Testimony.
Right.
mhm, testimony. There's no testimony without a test. No, but
Yeah.
we appreciate you, Vicky. No, really, honestly and truly, glad you were able to join. And thank you once again.
And for
We look
staying
forward.
later.
No, I'm waiting
Yeah,
for somebody for come pick up me niece 5 o'clock. Wow, in Papa, but I don't see don't carry it, so I just see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyways, thanks guys.
wait,
Bye.
All right. Bye.
all right. See you soon. Bye. Take care. All
All
right,
right.
guys. So to wrap things up, make sure you follow everybody on all platforms. If you're from Sierra Leone, it's killing it. Make sure you follow Inside the Diaspora and Authentic African, and then of course everywhere else along the way. We do plan to do these on a semi-regular basis, at least twice monthly. So stay tuned. We will always be promoting before we go live. Any final words, Fatima, from you?
I'm not sure if you mentioned, Admire couldn't join today because she had an emergency. So, we hope all is well with her. But, thank you everyone. And we look forward to the next show.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys all soon.
But, oh, happy Independence, guys, because we're not going to see
Oh
them
yeah,
before the Independence.
happy
Yes.
Independence. Sierra Leone
Yes.
Independence.
Make sure you go to all the events in the diaspora, and also I know they have events back home. Bangladesh is doing an event back home at Radisson Blue. So make sure you definitely show up and show out. But thank you guys so much, and have a good weekend and have a safe independence. Please, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yes. Yes.
And we're looking forward to the pictures to see the
Yeah.
celebration. So I think we should actually share some on the page. So come with your best outfits, rep the colors, the flag, etc. And you might just see yourself on the pages. Okay? Thank you.
It is.
Okay, I don't
All
done.
right. Thank you.
I don't done.
All right. Thank
All
you
right,
guys for
Joe.
watching.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you guys all soon. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.